Hello and thank you for tuning in Neptune Knives. So here's my little ninja guy, badass. So this video here is going to be a kind of a precursor to the next set of vids that I'm very a series about tactical folders. Pretty much my main interest is tactical knives. Some people collect. There's artistic knives, and then there's ones just purely for function, and I'm all about the function. Coming soon, by the end of this series, there will be, I'll list my three or top favorite tactical knives of all time. And here's some eye candy. This I got turned on to by a fellow YouTuber, Orimoto. He's always got good advice because he reviewed this and he's right. Everything he said about this is right. This is awesome. Bob Lum Sprint Tonto with VG10. And here's a little Delica. Things you're going to see coming up. And here's today's subject, the Hinderer. Okay. Now basically, a Hinderer, it's not as what people might think it is. They think, okay, it's this unbreakable firefighting tool that you go and you chop doors down, and it's not. It's not. Because of different things like the detent being really weak. Like you see, because it's a tactical folder. See, this is a really soft detent. Like. What it is, if you're a firefighter and you're moving around and stuff, you need something that's not going to fall out of your pocket. This is not one of those things, not with a smooth stonewash finished side. I mean, note to people, like a Strider, or any knife that has texturing on this side, and a good pocket clip, that's going to stay in your pocket. B-Blast is going to stay in your pocket. Stonewash is meant to pull out of your pocket quickly so you can deploy it. And deploying a knife is a key thing of tactical knives. This steel also is not in any way, I would say, a steel meant for industrial uses. Because ZT0560, which we're going to go over, is comparable to D2, just better edge retention. And D2 is not really the most, correct. This, when I try to cut through the handcuffs, I'm not going to ever do it, I don't want to do it again. I mean, maybe I'll do it again, but that's why this blade shape, is a little right here. But the point is, it just rolls over, the edge just rolls over. And you're just scraping metal and nothing happens. It's soft steel. ZT0560 is soft. It's edge retention, I think it's a pain but to sharpen. I mean, yeah, it's easy to sharpen, but that's what I'm saying. It's kind of too soft in my opinion. But regardless, what does that mean then? If this knife doesn't have a steel meant for that kind of, industrial uses, carpenter tool steel, that's kind of deceiving. It's more of a blade. It's definitely a knife cutlery steel. Then what do you use this for? Well, tactical folder, because I mean, you could just. So that's that quick deployment idea. And what to me, then this knife kind of makes me think about the zero tolerance. And I've been considering between the two, which one's better. And I'm very much more interested in the zero tolerance. And so I made a little list of some of the features between the two, and we're going to compare them, see some vids on it, and see which one is actually the one that is the better version. Okay, well, first to start with, the zero tolerance now. The new one is 3.75 inch blade instead of 3.5, or Hinderer's 4 inch. This is a 3.5 inch blade version, the XM18, but you see you lose all that blade cutting edge because of this choil. This choil, because all heavy duty folders, and Mr. Hinderer is aware of this, is that in case it unlocks, it doesn't cut your finger. But this still will dig into your finger depending on where your hand is. So, a flipper is better, and Hinderer has a flipper version. To do this, to do fine cutting, I think is just, I've never done that, and I don't suggest you do that because that's a sharp little tip that can cut you, unless you dull it. So, I mean, really that's what that's for. Spyderco has their choils, same with the Strider. Now, if you can see though, the zero tolerance one doesn't do that. It gives you more blade length, which is ultimately better. I mean, it's more of it'll feel more like a knife, you'll have more cutting edge to work with, and instead, moves that back and then puts a flipper. And the other one had a choil. So, in my opinion here, you're getting not only 3.75 inch, a quarter inch more of blade, you're also getting that additional blade back here. So I would say in the end, that's a better choice. Plus, a lot of people prefer 3.75 inches. So I'm going to give 1 point to zero tolerance. Now, overall length, 8.8 inches, compared to 8.25 or 9.25. For the 9.125, sorry, for the Hinderer 4 inch, okay? But you look next at the weight, 5.8 ounces, 5.6 or 7.8. I mean, you're talking for that increase you know, of blade length, from a 1/4 inch more blade length. You know, look at that, 8.8, almost 9. You know, you gained almost 3/4 of an inch off of the XM18, and only gained 2 ounces, compared to 7 ounces for the 4-inch version Hinderer, which is really expensive, the XM24. You know, and I was thinking, you know, like, Mel, which knife should you carry? And I want her to have, you know, I was like, which one's a better tactical knife? Well, I mean, the reason why this one is because, one, the machine this titanium side, which makes it lighter weight, of course, and then to top that off, they also did that to the liners and well, the titanium inside. They machined it out to make it lighter weight, which, you know, that's great. You know, that's more labor, more work into it. You know, you don't see it, but it's great. So lighter weight, bigger size. I like that perfect size. Again, 0 tolerance to me wins. Machined titanium handle means grip. Smooth titanium means you can pull it out fast, but the difference here is now, okay, tactical knives, you know, these, there's an interesting feature, you know, you have to know about, like on my Trizula Strider, it's, you know, it gets stuck right here. Fabric gets stuck in here. It is hard to pull out, unless you really want to pull it out. While on these, they just slide out easy. Pocket clips like this, you know, even pocket clips like this, you know, still, you know, but that dip kind of keeps everything in, you know, in the area, and that kind of helps. Plus the lighter weight, you know, and this grippiness G10. And you can see what, you know, was always concerned is when you're backpacking, you're hiking, you're just climbing on stuff, you know, you don't want your knife to fall out. Possibly also you could consider even get snagged on something, okay? The point is, there it goes. The new 0 tolerance does it that way. It puts it in that position just like the Trizula, you know, and it puts it on a surface that's grippy. So this way it won't, you know, just slide out of your pocket. So I prefer that. I mean, it's not that much of a difference. I mean, tearing your pockets, do you want to lose your life or just, you know, make your pockets a little fuzzy? I mean, what is this here, you know? I mean, screw the pockets. I mean, you can get shorts at Old Navy for $10, you know? I don't want to lose my, like, you know, couple $100 knife. You know, this is a survival tool. I want to make sure it stays, you know, stays on me, you know. Now there's an interesting thing about the Hinderer, and some of the more refined tactical knives, such as R.J. Martin's DRT, or Moto, his review on that one is really good. It says that how the pocket clip, you know, sits in a position that so when you pull it out of your pocket, it doesn't, you're not pushing down the pocket clip and affecting this blade from coming out. Hinderer does that by putting on his lock bar stabilizer. Same idea, tactical idea, but on both my Strider and this knife, you know, it sits all the way to the bottom of the lock bar. So there's not really much movement happening here. So I would say it's the same thing, because even on my Strider, I can still flick it out like that. You know, let's see now. Teflon washers and these ball bearing ones, these new 7 ball bearings inside of blue polymer washers for the Kershaw kinetic velocity technology of Kershaw's pivot system, Kershaw's pivot system on the knife. You know, now this is where I would say might be the one thing that makes a Hinderer perhaps better. Hinderers, you know, it's machined perfectly. It's just smooth. It's, you know, it's got Teflon. It's got the right balance of materials inside that pivot area. You know, the steel being soft, the washers being, the liners being smoothed out, and you get this. You know, compared to this Kershaw, you have these ball bearings right here. You can see that right there. Sorry, the camera. My question is, what happens if this drops in mud or dirt and sand? What can happen in that area? You know, they say it's a polymer, a blue polymer with 7 bearings in it. You know, that makes me wonder, you know, how durable is that? You know, perhaps the simplicity and balance of a Hinderer with its Teflon washers inside, you know, may end up just being, you know, the better choice in terms of, you know, if you're outdoors and surviving, or, you know, using this in some kind of more, I would say, settings where you're going to get your knife dirty. Perhaps that simplicity in there, those Teflon washers, you know, is the better way to go. So in this one, it's a question for me. It's a tie, because we're going to have to see when I get mine, when everyone gets theirs. I'm going to definitely test that, put it in some muddy water and see what happens. Now, next thing, screws. Hinderer, in a more recent generation now, knives, he chose to do these flat screws, this style right here. Sexy looking. Functional? No. If you see my other videos, you'll know that screws like this, that lack that, for some reason, don't ask me why, that lack that dome shape, are not as good in terms of being durable. This style is much stronger. Perhaps just as deeper. You know, I would say Hinderer screws definitely do go deep, and but regardless, I will tell you one thing. This I know for sure. Hinderer screws are soft. He does not harden them. Cannot possibly. I mean, nowhere near the level of Spyderco or Chris Reeve, and we're talking soft. You know, change your pocket clip and you'll see what I'm talking about. It's that soft. You have to be very careful with these screws. And perhaps, you know, you want them to be tough, like I said, or perhaps he wanted, you know, it was just too much, you know, time, you know, it's just one of those things, one of those corners that got cut. But just bear in mind that. But he does sell replacement screws for 60 bucks. You can buy a whole set of new screws and everything. The zero tolerance, you know, since I'm not holding it, I can't tell you. But there is an interesting thing I can say. Personally, me, I prefer. I'm going to put that in the tie because, you know, we don't know, but I do like that they're domed. But what's better is that they're gun coated or coating, whatever coating's on there. That's tactical because then that prohibits rust a little bit more. You know, helps it against that. All the screws on the zero tolerance. This on other pictures is black. I don't know what's with this one, but regardless, yeah, all of the screws, the hardware, you could say, have a coating on them, which would, you know, again, make it less of a problem out and about. So that's, for me, that's a big one. Striders, all the screws are coated. Hinderer, you know, looks shiny and nice, but function, gun coat wins. You know, now this is a big thing. Now, if you guys ever read one of my favorite channels is Discovery Networks, and one of my favorite shows is that Dual Survival. And you'll read, there's a lot that goes into all this, but in terms of like survival settings, you know, when you're thinking of things to pack, you know, do you want to bring something that's complicated that requires a special tool like a Hinderer? Meaning, if the Hinderer screw goes loose in the pivot, you know, you can use your hand to do it. But I mean, if you, depending on how you, no, this is a male and female, so you need Loctite or Teflon tape. You know, you have to figure out how to take that apart. I mean, can you use two flatheads? Not so much, because there is this part that sticks out. Maybe you want to go in there and modify that screw. You know, hey, I know all my things are you know, outside of the box. Maybe, you know, hey, void the warranty. But the truth is, if there wasn't that stupid little bump, you might be able to fit a flat screwdriver in there if that screw didn't go so far from the male. But you need a Hinderer tool. You need to put one on each side and start twisting each side of the tool to take it apart. And that is a pain in the butt. That tool weighs a lot, costs a lot, and it's an extra thing you have to carry and have with you, or else, you know. And that's kind of like one of those things they say, like, you know, if something can have be modular, or like basically you can improvise. For example, like on this knife, you know, all these males and females and all the screws, pocket clips included, are the same size, except for the pivot. So, you know, you can switch everything around. I mean, everything, one bust or you lose one, you just put it over there. This one, stop pin breaks, you just switch it with one of these. I mean, you know, heck, you don't even need this one per se, maybe not even this one. I mean, this thing is super durable. I'll tell you about that in the video coming up. This is awesome. This knife, just awesome. So main thing is, you know, there's that. You know, you have to have these T something, one of these, which size this is, and you know, but regardless, over here, you see on the zero tolerance, all the screws are torque screws. Just makes it simple. All you need to do is carry your torque screw. A couple things from that little Benchmade. Let's see, here's on my keychain. You know, just take them off that little Benchmade tool like this. There's my whistle. And bam! I mean, you have your tools to take your knife apart. You know, makes it a little more easier, not needing a special tool to take it apart. Plus, if you see that the female is notched, so it doesn't turn when you unscrew it, just like this knife, you know, and the Sage, but not the military. So, you know, that's an important thing too, because you don't have to have both hands, you know, one hand holding one tool, one hand holding the other one, and turning it. It's, you know, much easier for maintenance. And so, and definitely in that one, I give that to zero tolerance.